Over the past 5 days, Chrisland Schools has been caught in an attention of Nigerians due to the viral tape involving its students during a trip to Dubai, where they participated in the World School Games in March 2022. In the tape, which has circulated all over social media, the students are seen carrying out an immoral act, which has since raised questions of the role of parents and the schools in the lives of children. After the emergence of the video on social media, the Lagos state government has warned members of the public to desist from distributing footage of students of Chrisland schools engaging in the immoral act. Following the controversy generated by the incident, the Lagos state government shut down all branches of the school in the state. The state government also warned citizens that sharing such footage amounts to child pornography and could attract up to a 14-year jail term. The school authorities noted that the 2 pupils engaged in immoral acts during a game of truth or dare have been disciplined. Also, other videos of the girl involved in the immoral act, sexually dancing and miming to secular songs not fit for her age, have surfaced on social media. The question people are asking is who has the most important role to play in bringing up a child, the school or the parents? Joining us now on the morning show to discuss this is Taiwo Akinlami, a parenting educator, a family and social development lawyer. Welcome to the morning show. Good morning, Taiwo.
Thank you so much for having me too. This your headgear is powerful.
Oh.
Or is it? Or what is it called? What is it called?
It's made an Alice band, but thank you.
Anyway, Taiwo, that's fine. I hope you won't say that a headgear is looking like your cap. I hope you won't go that far. Anyway, let's go straight to business. What's your take on this issue coming out of Chrisland Schools in Lagos? And what do you think we should be looking at? The role of parents or the role of the school? The school says, look, we have child protection processes and we have not committed any error in this particular regard. Some commentators, like Tonto Dike, psychologists, Shola Ogudu, who followed her son, Whiskey's first son, to the World School Games in Dubai. All of them are saying, no, we should look more in the direction of the role of parents. What do you think?
Well, I think the saying goes thus: it takes a village to raise a child. If schools were not necessary, children will not be sent there. So since schools take up the responsibility of raising children, I think both schools and parents have a role to play. But if I'm going to share the responsibility, I'm going to say that maybe parents will take 70%, schools will take 30%, because schools are unavoidable. They're an unavoidable necessity, if I may put it that way, because there are people who actually homeschool their children, who never release their children to the 4 walls of the normal school system. So to that end, I think that it is a joint responsibility. Schools take responsibility to take care of children, they must, and parents also must support schools to ensure that that responsibility are properly taken care of, at the end of the day.
Right, and where do you stand on the issue of rehabilitation of the children? Because I personally reject the notion that any one incident, even one as scandalous as this, is enough to ruin a child's life. What kind of treatments and interventions should be applied now with these children so that they can, whatever was broken can be fixed?
Well, I think that there's a major issue that we are dealing with before I talk about the way forward. Because if there's a way we can nip all of this in the bud, this matter will not have gotten to where it is right now. It is this whole idea of taking children's identity to the social media. There was a Deeper Life case where, the mother of a child allegedly sexually abused in one of the schools in Akwa Ibom or somewhere, went to the press, and the press was agog with her complaint and all of that. Now, why what she was doing in fighting for her child might be right, but the way she went about it was not right, in the sense that it was not in the best interest of the child. The same thing has happened in this case. If something happens, parents should be careful how they take to the media or to social media. Now, if you are talking to the traditional media, they can be traced. You know where they are. But when you are talking about social media, you are talking about bloggers, who have no, who you don't know where they are. Now, people take what is supposed to be a fight for justice to mean an opportunity to carry trending stories. And before you know it, every focus shifts from the issue that is being spoken about to the child, the identity of the child. And that's another thing that has happened in this case. For example, UNICEF says clearly that when it has to do with abuse of children, sexual abuse, the identity of the child must be concealed. Even when a child is in conflict with the law, the Child Rights Act is abundantly clear. The identity of the child must be concealed. When the matter of children has to be addressed in a family court, the courts ask media personnel to excuse them. Now, that is even at the level of the court. So now, what has happened today is that we need to speak to our advocates. We need to speak to people who represent the interests of children, that there is a way to do this work. And as I told a friend, not all of us doing this work really learned how to do it properly, because at the end of the day, internet does not forget. I agree with you. There's a way forward. Where there's a will, there's a way. And there are no irreparable situations. There are only hopeless people. There's a lot that can be done. But what do we do to begin to prevent this? People share pornographic pictures in the name of advocacy. I don't receive it. When I receive it, I delete it. When I delete it, I want the person sending it out, don't ever send this to me. I'm not interested in an advocacy that make me to watch child porn. The truth of the matter is that all of this that has been going on, I've never watched that video. I've not seen it deliberately. Anybody who sends it to me, I delete it, because I know that when I spread the news, I'm destroying a child. Look at all that has happened now. So having said that, I think there's a way forward. The way forward is for us not to think that this child is just going to recover, or the children involved, not even this child, all the children involved in this matter, they are just going to be okay. Pain does not have exhaust. Pain has to be treated. And so what it needs to happen is that there are professionals. For example, I don't know how much is being done with Mirabel Center in Lagos State. I don't know how much is being done with available services in therapy, in psychosocial support. All of that are the things we need to be looking at now, instead of subjecting these children to further public opprobrium, publishing documents about information about them. The girl has 1,000 like 50,000. I don't think those are the issues. These are our children. And there is always a hope and a future if we do the right thing.
I'd like to talk about the failure, and I want you to enunciate this, the failure of ministries of education all over the country. Because when things happen like that, we just get the normal knee-jerk reaction. Shut down the school. Let's investigate. How do we reduce this in the first place? Because there are so many cases happening that are not even being reported in the first place.
You are very correct. You see, our nation is in a crisis. That's the truth of the matter. The crisis is the fact that we have abandoned the fountain of life. That's what Gabriel Mistral called children. On all fronts, we have abandoned them. And this knee-jerk reaction, look at what the Lagos State government did. Very ridiculous. Honestly. Now, I'm not holding forth for Chrisland. Are you getting it? Chrisland, should be investigated. And Chrisland has come out to tell us the processes in place. As a matter of fact, we have supported them in working on those processes before now. Now, but the point is this. Do you know how the Lagos State government shut down that school? The Lagos State government heard there was something in the media, social media, trending. The next thing the Lagos State government did, no petition before them, nothing was before them, nobody has complained to them. They didn't call the school, they just shut down the school. That's what they did. Now, the point is this. How does the Lagos State government become a judicial body? Even when somebody goes before the court, there is need for you that you cannot, the rule of natural justice that Dr. Abati knows very well. Now, so you cannot judge a man without hearing from him or her. You cannot judge an institution, but let's leave that. Now, the question is, what monitoring commitment does the Lagos State government have when it comes to protecting children or regulating schools? There are two roles that government play in school system. Number one, the government sponsors schools. They fund their own schools. Number two, government also regulates schools. Now, what level of regulation is going on in terms of schools? It is when crises like this happen that we employ fire brigade approach, and we begin to take steps. Now, quality assurance was said to be interviewing staff of Chrisland. It was in the newspaper before. I mean, how do you do that kind of important responsibility before the glare of the press? So there has to be, for example, in Lagos State today, 18 million private schools, 18 million, competing with 1,900 public schools. Now, since 1999, I'm not sure that new schools have been built in Lagos State since 1999. I'm not sure. We have continued to rehabilitate or refurbish the existing schools. Meanwhile, 2 million children are out of school in Lagos State, 2 million. 13.5 million are out of school in Nigeria. Lagos State is responsible for 2 million of that. What do we do about that? So I think Lagos State government and the government in Nigeria, I love what you said about generally, need to take responsibility. For example, let me ask, if somebody wants to start a school in Nigeria or in Nigeria, what are the criteria? Please, let's bring government functionaries here and let them tell us in clear terms, website where we can go to and just pick what are the things we need to put in place if we are running a school. It was Dowen the other time. The Lagos State government shut down Dowen. After shutting down Dowen has been reopened now. Now, you shut down a school in public. When you are reopening it, it's not in public, it's in private. I hope you know that the coroner inquiry that was set up to look into Sylvester Romani's death has stopped sitting. We have been to court. Every time that coroner inquiry has started, since December 15, we've been in court. At the time he was sitting in Ekpe, they took it to Ikeja, and he started sitting in Ikeja. We've been in court every Monday and Tuesday. Do you know the funny thing that happened the last time we were in court? The last time we were in court, the court room where the magistrate was sitting had been assigned to another judge. The magistrate got there to find out. And now that coroner inquiry of Sylvester Romani has gone to comatose. It's not sitting anymore. How do you run a society like that? So when a child dies tomorrow, another Christian case happens, government comes and shut down the school. Government should be more responsible and accountable, because all this knee-jerk reaction to political decisions to show that you are working, I don't think it's going to work, and it's not in the best interest of the children at the end of the day, no matter what happens.
Okay, Taiwo, in the specific case of the Chrisland School, what would be your recommendations to the school, to the parents involved, to government? Some people are already recommending that, look, psychologists should be brought into this matter to attend to the children involved. But maybe you have some other views.
Well, thank you very much, Doctor. Number one is the fact that, first for the parents, we need to do more. A lot has come out between when this matter happened and now. We need to do more. We must first we must pay attention to our children. We are dealing with Gen Z and Gen A, Generation A. That is Generation Z and Generation Alpha. These are digitalized children. They are far ahead of us in terms of technology. We are digital aliens. They are digital natives. It is important for us to begin to have a sit down with them to understand how their mind is working and to understand how we can begin to guide them with their own contribution. Very, very important. That's number one. Number two, and the way to do that is to begin to see how we can inculcate positive value system in our children, provided we represent it and exemplify it. That's number one. Number two is that schools need to do more. I believe that Chrisland School, has in place a child protection system codified into policy, broken down into processes. But you see, a lot of lessons have come out of this case, and there's a lot of lessons to be learned. And that's how societies develop. I told someone, the fact that you have a child protection policy codified into processes, codified into a child protection policy system in place, codified into a policy broken down into processes, does not mean things will not happen. It gives when things like this happen, gives an opportunity to look at the loopholes, things that you need to do, and things that you need to improve, lessons that you need to learn, because there's no child protection system that is going to envisage all the crises that can happen at a time. Number three, for these children, I think if you are not careful, At the end of the day, Chrisland will be reopened. At the end of the day, the parents will be okay. At the end of the day, bloggers will smile to the bank. At the end of the day, NGOs will report to their funders that the deed has been done. At the end of all of that, everybody goes to bed. But what happens if nothing is done is that the destiny of these children also goes to bed with all of that. So that is why we have to now pay ultimate, absolute, critical attention to these children. They must get all the help that they need in terms of medical help, in terms of psychosocial support. I think there has to be a liaison with the Lagos State government, because I think they do a lot of work with Mirabel Center. Mirabel Center has to be brought in. They've been in the forefront for so many years, solving this problem. What is beautiful about them is that they have one-stop place where you get medical support, get psychosocial support, and it is professionally done. I think that is necessary. And if parents decide to use services of private therapists, it's very, very important. But we cannot leave these children in the lodge. We cannot just leave them and feel that everything is going to be okay. Everything will be okay if we make it okay. But if we don't do the necessary, we don't do the right thing to make everything okay, I can assure you that things will degenerate for those children. Because what is going to happen is that attention is going to go away for these children. Once this news stop trending, we will look for another news. But the challenge is that the impact of this thing that has happened, we continue with it. And I want to beg parents, I want to beseech them by the mercies of God. I want to beg advocates, I want to beg media people. Let us exercise a lot of restraint when it comes to publishing all of these things. Sex tapes of child porn, according to how the Cybercrime Act 2015 has described it, sharing all of these things, we have to be careful. If nobody shares it, it's not going to spread. A lot is now happening, and it is important that we pay attention to our children. Their destiny is important to us. That's why Mandela said there's no greater level to judge the conscience of a nation than to look at how they treat their children. Let's be more careful with our children in terms of responding to situations like this.
You also said something so important about parental values, how we have to represent and embody our values, because children are really bad at doing what we tell them, but they're excellent at acting how we behave. It's not what you say, it's what you do, ultimately.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you very much, Taiwo Akinlami, for joining us. We have to move on now.